Ah! It's 10 o'clock. Here we go, God damn it. It's like, this shit ain't working, man. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? I don't. Why are you asking me? It's Night Drive. I am Billy at the _swan_man, ripping for the Army of Snarkness show at Army of Snarkness on Twitter. Like the Facebook page, be sure to download all that fun content on iTunes, Spreaker, and Stitcher. Oh, fuck. Fucking hot dog day at work. It's a bad day. So I bite into a hot dog because it's free and I'm not sure if I have dinner proper. So I was like, well, I'll take the free food. You know, I've been impoverished long enough in jobs where it's like, if there's free food to be had, you just fucking take it, all right? Maybe you even hoard it and keep it away from those fuckers. But, you know, things had changed and my lot in life had substantially improved. So I don't really need to hoard the free office food as much as I used to. But those old instincts kick in. So like, okay, I'll have a hot dog. A hot dog. It can't be the worst for me. It'll take a week to fucking process, but I'll have a hot dog as opposed to like the 2 or 3 I would have normally. Hungry boy. So I nuke it. I eat it. It tastes like all the anus that it's made of, man. It's just, I've changed my diet and my taste in things so radically. Going out to dinner is hard, and eating processed fucking nonsense hot dogs is also hard. More hard than going out to dinner. But lately, I've been uber disappointed with all the meals out that I've had lately. Last couple of weeks, just like, nah, I'm cursed, or I burned my... That's the thing, I stopped smoking so much, so I have taste buds. I don't get it. It's just, what I taste is meh. It's not as good as I remember it, you know? I don't know how to explain it. Kick the soda tastes better, and potato chips rock, but when it comes down to prepared meals with like the complement vegetable and all that seasoning, no, not really. Doesn't really do it for me. Not as much. I've been very disappointed. Wanted a steak, went to Logan's, that blew. So, I'm a man without a restaurant. But maybe that'll change. Maybe it's all in my head. Or maybe, you know, American food standards are just woefully subpar. Just bet. And I was just cool with it because I was packed with sodium and everything I was eating and drinking before. Pre-flavoring. I don't know. So, HRW is a thing. The backyard wrestling thing has happened. We are starting to do our own characters, our own stories, our own matches for our own title. Small group, me, Jake, Andrew, and eventually Greg get into it. But right now it's the 3 of us, more or less, with friends coming in and out and friends holding the camcorder, because my theory was, you know, like Mick Foley, we record it, maybe we can show it to someone, and maybe that's a foot in the door kind of thing. Maybe this is a viable, fun career option. You know, I don't like the road off-traveled. I want to be the man that took the road less traveled. In entertainment. Razzle-dazzle. So, thinking that way, we would have our friends hold the camcorder. One might be the referee, or the referee was behind the camera, failing that, because there was only 3 of us, sometimes 4, at a time, in a given grouping, so we did what we could with what we had. Now, we're doing this, and it's about a weekly thing, and on Saturdays, we'd go out, and whoever would have us, if it wasn't someone's backyard proper, per the name Backyard Wrestling, it was possibly, you know, the gym equipment outside of a school once it's shut down. You know, not to destroy anything or anything like that, not to do actual chaos or anarchy, but merely to use the equipment to have some sort of place outside that has things we can jump off of and throw each other into for the moment. Like, we'd love to have the proper stuff, but that takes a build-up. So, we're recording matches, we're getting through storylines, and of course, you know, I have to be the lovesick puppy dog storyline, because that's my game, baby, that's what I do. So I get the living shit kicked out of me in the name of honor for this girl that I was straight crushing on hard in middle school. Much like The Loved One by Mick Foley. It's a lot of Mick Foley parallels. The book had just come out, we read it, and it was inspirational, not only through its prose, but by what it, you know, had to fucking say. How he went about it. And the Hardy Boys did the same goddamn thing, and a lot of dudes that are stars now have done the same thing. So we're doing this. I get my ass kicked a lot. But that's the key to success. We do our storylines in basements. That's always the better place. Landing on the hard concrete. Gravel was fun, and that was one of the big matches that we had, was a gravel pit street fight. There was a house that had been demolished by a park where we lived. It was a county park, so, you know, It's common area. At least that was our thought. And they had demolished a house. So there's the part that used to be part of a university, and it was a gym. And then next door was a house that had now been demolished and was turned into a gravel pit with no construction in sight. This was a pit for years, too. So nothing was in the works on this pit. And then next to it was a house proper and an alleyway. So one of the big promoted fights, and by promoted I mean I went to middle school, I was like, I'm gonna fucking kick this dude's ass, and that dude would talk shit about me, and it was my good buddy Jake. He's much taller than me, and we were both pretty hardcore. So we got a few of the smattering of weapons we had. We had 2 chairs, I want to say, a kendo stick, a ladder, and there was everything that was loose in the... I think there was a street sign involved in there, not a real one, or like a license plate. Crap that Jake had found. He was good at finding or stealing shit that, you know, for the intents and purposes of beating the fuck out of each other with. So we lay out the scene. The story is being set to be told. You know, I'm fighting for honor or some such, and for a chance at the belt. It's going to be a big, badass fight. Okay. So we go and we do it, expecting to get a gang of kids from the school, and anyone else that wants to, you know, take a peek, to do this thing, because the big move that was going to happen, there's a kind of a drop-off, which would obscure the action, because it's almost a valley, where this pit was, because there's sidewalk level, and then it would slope down into gravel, and nothingness, and the side of, you know, an industrial building that wasn't being occupied at the time. Now it's a whole rec center and shit. Before then, it was just kind of like, burden of the county. So, the big thing was going to be, I'm going to be grabbed at some point. We're going to fight our way up the hill. And diagonally speaking, it'd be about a 8-foot fall if I was thrown clear across. And down, the diagonal would be about, 12 feet. Not to land, but to skate across the thing. Because the actual drop was no more than, at the slant. Let's see, from the concrete sidewalk part to the actual bottom is about 9 feet, I want to say, maybe 10. It looks impressive. And that's the thing, is that I have the benefit of being able to skate off the grass. My thought being, if I get thrown off and onto the gravel, it'll look impressive, but it won't do anything because the slope will diminish, because I'm obviously going to hit the slope somehow before I hit the gravel ground proper. So I'm going to dissipate the energy, and I'm going to hit early, but look like I hit the ground fast, that sort of thing. I'm going to diminish it so I don't actually get killed, but I'm going to make it look as though I just ate it into the gravel. Like, rah! That was going to be the big moment, and then I was going to get all the Florence Nightingale syndrome girls to gush over my battered and bruised body, possibly bleeding, because that wasn't beyond the realm of thought at this point. So, we take the match, we do the fight, and it's a really solid match as far as Jake and myself go. It was very good, actually. I liked it. And it held, and there's a reason that I say it was very good. We're recording it, right? And there's a big picnic table in the middle, and that's where we set the ladder up high so we could do a bunch of poses and shit. We do the gimmick with the, so we build up, we're fighting, and the monumental time has come, because I'm going to fight after I got knocked off of this sidewalk area. He does it, and it's less than impressive. Like, I do the jump, but it just doesn't have the impact everyone thought it would. And there is a group of kids. And, the slutty early smoking girls that died already. No. They were just molested by their fathers. Terrible jokes. No. All due respect. At least they watched it. So, trashy kind of girls, were watching. I was hoping for nicer girls to be watching, but such is not the case in the town that I am from. So I'm like, well, at least there's some eyes bearing witness, but that rolled blue, and I just look at Jake while we're fighting like that, and that isn't enough. And he's just like, well, okay. So we take it hard onto the gravel, and then the real fight begins, inspired a lot by the WrestleMania 12 Goldust Roddy Piper Hollywood Backlot Brawl. I'm going at it, knee lift and all that stuff. We're beating the shit out of each other, and things get really interesting on top of the table. Jake throws me on the table, bang, no big deal. People like it because it makes a nice loud, wood smack. Jake then sets up the chair and the ladder between the tables so that it's kind of a ladder table. And then I smash his face into it, and I look like I'm going to get him into a sweet, suplex onto the ladder, and it's going to be awesome! Such is not the case, because we didn't try the suplex. I didn't want to snap his neck. And we never really got into the proper suplex stuff, because again, we didn't want to kill each other, and there's not exactly even ground in the realm of backyard wrestling. So, it's like, sweet, reversal! And he just powers me up, and almost over his head into kind of a power slam look, holds me there, and then throws me onto the ladder face first, which is good for me. It's advantageous. I can use my forearms to block it. So I do. I take the hit and act like it's the worst thing ever. I hear a cacophony while I'm selling, acting like I'm hurt as fuck on the ground. I hear a cacophony of, it's music to my ears, man. We did something that was super impressive because they think I'm actually hurt. I sell a little harder, and people are just, like, wanting to check on me and shit, which is awesome. And this is all on tape, which is even better. And so then we tie up. I think Jake wins the match that night. Jake wins, I believe. Yeah. No, Jake wins. That's I think that's the same fight. Is where, if it's not, then it is now. I'm retconning, but I don't think it is, but it might be. So then, I fight a little more, but I'm beat to fuck, because he's carrying on, much like Mick Foley, because I'm a hack. Hardcore hack. Sandman. Roadhouse. So, we fight back to the hill. Jake gets me, bam, in the chokeslam position. This wasn't supposed to be the end of the match, but it ended up being the end of the match, because he then chokeslams me legit, because he has all the inertia on his side. Hooah! Up and down. He was much taller than me. He was already 6'2" by then. So I got a little airtime, and boom, I went for it. I was amped up. My back hits the ground. Nothing's hurt, but it knocks all of the air out of my body. It's Ben! I, squeak out. He makes the pin. I lose the day. This is all on tape. It's all fantastic. We watched the tape, and the ladder bit is very impressive. Even though to me it looked like total bullshit, because again, all I see is my arms, and then hitting the aluminum, then me falling back, and I'm like, that didn't feel impressive. But on the tape, it looks like he straight killed me. Just, and I'm like, ah! And I'm flailing on the ground, hurt and shit. A few scrapes and, a few cuts from that match, but nothing major. Felt good to come back victorious, all bruised after a day of backyard wrestling. It did. It felt victorious. It was fun. We have this tape. And at the middle school that we are attending, we get wind of ICW doing a show in the gym for like $5. I'm like, fucking A! This could be our thing, man. We got a sack full of tapes and the converter, because they're VHS-C tapes, and we got a converter to make it playable on a standard VCR. Let's see if we can not only give these to the main man, the talent director of ICW, but also maybe we can parlay that into some time in the ring and just have our one little match in that ring proper that people from the area would recognize and know. Like, we were talking about doing a run-in and shit with each other and trying to see what it would take to get in the ring. And we brought our kendo stick, and we're just all amped up. I do believe Greg is with us at this time. More on Greg later. So, it's Jake, Andrew, myself, and Greg, I believe. I don't know if Patrick was there. So, we go in costume. We go full wrestling regalia and a kendo stick, which is awesome. Kendo stick's the practicing Singapore cane. It's the thing you use when you're practicing sword fighting for, I don't know, some martial art. I think they use them in Aikido, but don't quote me. So, we've got the Singapore cane, for lack of a better word. And I'm in my black jacket with the leather, and I got my wrestling gear on, I got my athletic pants, I got my t-shirt, I got my fists are all taped up. Jake's got his regalia, he even brought his mask, because he was the Mad Dog. And he had the leather mask, sort of like Mankind, which looked a lot like Abyss's mask now. And so, we're there, and we're in character, and we sign more autographs than the real dudes, and we see my first independent wrestling show. And it was really cool. It was really cool to see how these dudes, do their thing, and the possible future that I was eyeballing looked... Rosy's not the term, but it looked like something I could definitely accomplish, was doing this. Sadly, these dudes are in their 30s, maybe 40s and shit at this time. So you got the new and you got the failed, for lack of a better, just to make it pithy. And they're doing the thing. So we hand it to the guy, the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, I believe. We hand him the tapes and things like, come on, just peep this shit, get back with us, this is our contact info, we'd love to be trained on the card, but we're minors, but we've got all the shit, man, we've got the goods, I promise. You know, the Hardys did the exact same thing, actually, in North Carolina. No shit. So, we turn that in, we sign some autographs, we don't get any time in the ring, and I'm pissed. We fight out in the parking lot a little bit for the kids, and we sign a bunch of autographs, which is funny, because we weren't even on the card. And it was nice, it was fun, you know, signed autographs for, like, really little children, because they didn't know any better, and it was fun, though. It's cool to sign your name on paper. I've always dug it. So, we wait, and we're like, oh, man, we're going to get to apprenticeship at the fucking ICW, and then we get to go to MWA, and then we get to fucking take over the wrestling world. We got to start training now, man, like harder. Start building the physique and sculpting muscle and all that cool shit now, while we're like 12 and 13, so that it'll be stupid impressive when we're in high school and actually not minors, and we'll be all versed in the fucking lingo and shit, and we'll be prepared for this fucking career, man. We'll be fucking superstars before we're even legal to be superstars. It'll be nuts. And they never call back, and they keep the tapes. And the goddamn, the converter. So we had to go out and buy another converter, and more tapes, and that is the first lesson of many with dealing with independent federations and trying to get a gig there. Because later we would, well, no, I'll save Greg in the MWA days for another story. But there you go, man. That was the heyday of HRW, and that is when we were, quote-unquote, the most popular, because we actually had a few crowds. Not many, and certainly not large crowds. And but we recorded on a more regular basis, and we're just doing it to it, man. And it felt really good. That night felt so pregnant with promise. Pregnant with promise. Because, you know, I had done what I loved and turned it into someone that was actually a part of the business. And for a brief moment, it was so optimistic in a time where I didn't have a shit ton of optimism. I'm all emo and lovesick and just depressed and sad and worthless. But this was a beacon of a day, a honey of an O and Honey Nut Cheerios, because tomorrow held so much promise on this day. But every day holds promise, and that's the end of this chapter. That's chapter 2, baby. More to come. Ew! But this was Night Drive. I'm Billy at _Swan_man on Twitter. Repping for the Army Snarkness, sad Army Snarkness, but you already heard all that. Download us, love us, keep us in your hearts. And if you want to hear anything specific, or any questions, of course, hit me up about this backyard thing. But for now, as I bid you farewell,